Hello and welcome to Epic Farm. So we're here today looking at a new map, Loma, Montana by No Creek Farms. You might remember the name No Creek Farms. He originally created the map called No Creek Farms for FS17, and he was also the modder behind Medicine Creek in FS19, which was a map that I played quite a bit on. I absolutely love that map. And No Creek was kind enough to send me a beta test version of Loma, Montana. This map has not yet been released. It is going to be released publicly when he is done with it. So we're going to be running a little bit of a Let's Play on this map to help out with some testing. And, you know, a lot of times when you're just doing testing on a map, you don't necessarily just sit down and play it through, which is what we're going to do on this map. No Creek has based this map on a real-life town named Loma, Montana, which is a town of about 80 people located in north-central Montana. So there's going to be quite a few cool things that tie into that real-life location, including the starting point here, which has this awesome little, I don't know, it's not quite a shed, but I believe these are actual photos that are from this location that he's tossed into the game here, which I thought is pretty cool. And as you can see, this map is vast. It is a 4X map, so it will be a PC-only release when it comes out here. And I don't know, I don't think this truck is actually drivable. This is not our truck. Ooh, there's no colliders on this truck. So these are the kind of things that we're going to find because, like I said, this map isn't done yet. Let's go ahead and open this up. We're going to run the Start in Spring mod for the map because if we don't start in spring, none of the fields have crops on them by default, which normally you start in the late summer and you've got some things to do before winter. I didn't see a lot of point in having to move through a lot of seasons on our playthrough. And again, since this is a work in progress map, we're not going to be super focused on playing everything 100% realistically. We're going to cheat in some money, get some cool equipment, get a good starting location, and to go from there. You can see, though, that knowing this is a 4X map, some of these fields, like Field 40, this is just a huge area. Fortunately, my area isn't showing here on the map. However, it's going to be cool. We've got the towns. I can buy this common area for no money, which I am going to do because there's a lot of little things that happen when you need to do landscaping or other things. And I have already looked around the map a little bit, so I know where I want to start out. But before I do that, let's just jump into flight mode here real quick. We're going to take a little bit of a look around on the map here and see some of the more interesting options. You can see in the distance here, maybe there's a train going around the map, and it is a long one. The train spans from the start over there to the back all the way over here. So we do have more realistic train sizes here. And I'm just going to fly back a little bit. Here's where we spawned in, and you can see the hill is quite tall to get up on top of this plateau up here. And one of the things I love about this map so far, just looking at it for a few minutes here, is you can see the map boundary around the map, and it just looks so natural. Like, you know it's a map boundary, but you don't know exactly where the edge of the map is. You know, if I fly over here, is it the cliff or is it up on top of the cliff? I believe it's up on top of the cliff here. Yeah, there's fields and stuff up here, but even out of further away, you've got this really awesome terrain. Now here, I can see where the map boundary is if you look real close, but at a glance, and you would never know. And I'm up in the air here trying to fly away to be able to see some of this stuff. And he's got things lining up with the map really well, such that if you were to actually come down to a ground level, you're never really going to notice that line between things. So it's looking great. I love it. We've got some different elevators and sell points around the map that have, to my understanding, been based on the real life elevators and cell locations. There's some buildings in town and such that have been based on real life areas. So I'm really excited to explore parts of this map more naturally. And here we've got one of the coolest features on the map, in my opinion, which is this large feedlot style setup with individual pens for cows, or I should say cattle. And you can see, I don't even know, we've got quite a few of them here. I'm not going to bother counting them, but we have some real interesting both animal mechanics, feed mechanics, manure mechanics on all this. So we're going to 100% be getting into some cattle here. But that's not all. We do have a custom precision farming map where he has gone through and set things up with more realistic values. So you've got better soil down here in the valley from a yield perspective than you're going to get up on the plateaus. And that's pretty cool. I love when maps have custom precision farming that's set up to mimic real life. We've got a rather large grain farm up here with some big sheds, a nice house, and a bunch of fields here. I think because it's been a while since I've done a big grain farm. I mean, just look at the size of this field. I think we're going to come up here and grab this, and we're going to do some big grain up here. Not corn. This is Montana, so we'll probably be getting into maybe some of the new crops. If I bring up the crop calendar, we do have the flax, peas, and lentils that we had on the Saskatchewan map. What was that? The one by BC Bueller and team. Edgewater, Saskatchewan by South Sask Modding and BC Bueller. Those are the two guys that worked on that. It took me a second to remember. But BC Bueller has the swathing pack and such for the... was it the flax that we used that with? It also works on like wheat and barley and canola, I believe. And so we'll be plugging that into this map. We've also got rye and millet, alfalfa, clover, and then I believe these are from the expansion. So I don't know if we're going to get into any of that stuff here, but I am looking forward to jumping into some of this alfalfa, clover, definitely some flax, because I believe flax straw is in this map, and we're going to be able to use all of that for some of the more advanced animal feed mechanics. And then if we just continue flying around here, I just love the height difference being down below the plateau versus above it. I mean, just look at how tall these mountains are. It's going to be a lot of fun to play around with this. We've got a John Deere dealer over here, and we've got some different areas on the map. I believe this is a co-op, People Produce Knowledge. We've got a fill point here. So lots of good stuff going on the map here. I'm flying around like crazy. We do start the game right now with all the starter equipment. We'll be selling this off and getting some good modded equipment in. And then here's a great sign. We've got signs for a Moz Loma Cafe. There should be a Moz Cafe and a Paz general store, I believe. Or Paz Mart, I should say. And these are modeled after the real buildings in Loma. So if you're kind of curious, you can Google that, but this is pretty cool. We got Paz Mart. Whoa. And we've got Moz Cafe over here. I'm super excited to see some of the level of customization here on the map. We'll definitely have to find some reasons to come into town on a regular basis. I believe No Creek mentioned that this area is, the railroad tracks are actually gone now in real life. So he's added them back in so that we can have a functioning train. We've got 3 different places here along the railroad track. I believe some of these are actually purchasable so that you can store your grain in them, but some of them do count as sell points. And if we just keep flying up here, we've got a lot more land over on this side, as well as another farm over here that we could purchase. This is a bit more of a pasture setup for the cattle, so you can run your cattle out in the pasture, which is kind of cool. And then obviously there's some cool sheds and bins everywhere. Another farm site over here. So there's options. You're going to have a few different farms you can pick from. I've missed a farm somewhere. I think it's this one over here that we haven't shown off yet. We do have areas like this where we've got bin sites alongside the field. and these are set up for very easy access. I'm sure I could get an auto drive driver to come right through, and they might be a little bit too close to get them to unload easily, but if we're here doing the unload for them and then sending them on their way, we got plenty of room to move things around. And then we got the last farm site over here, I believe, with the blue barns everywhere. I do like that things are matching up here, and quite a few bins on this farm as well. But just look at the size of these fields. There's going to be a lot of epic farming here to be done. And I love these roads going up and down through these ravines. It's looking good. It's going to be a lot of fun. So with all of the mini map tour out of the way, like I said, this is going to be more of a let's play type series. And we need to get into making some purchases and getting some land. From what I've seen, what I'm really thinking is I want to get this area here. So we're going to go ahead and purchase this. This is field 42, which is going to have all of the animal areas on it. You can see now all of these pens have popped up here for me. If we come in here, I've got cow barns up the wazoo. We're going to be able to have so much fun with that. And then if I jump back into the map here, I think we're going to go with this farm up on the hill, this big grain farm. That'll give me a good mix. We'll have some big fields up here to do some big grain farming with, and then I'll probably buy these fields down in the valley eventually to be able to run alongside doing everything with the cattle down here. Maybe we'll put some alfalfa in or something down here. We'll have to grow some flax, get some flax straw and different things in that we need to feed those cows. So let's go ahead and see what it's going to cost to buy this. We're going to have plenty of money to do that. What's it going to cost to get this piece of land? $465,000. Not bad. I think that would be a good place to start. We ended up with this, I'll say, a small field, which is 15 acres there. And then we are looking at purchasing this, which is another 181 acres. That's a pretty good size field. Should take a few workers some time to rip through that. We may have regrets afterwards, but let's give it a go. We are in a go big or go home kind of mentality here. So in order to do that, or I should say before I do that, we're going to come in here. I'm going to sell off all of this equipment. I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me do this. We'll be back in a second. There we go. Another $1.14 million in the bank. So let's use that to go ahead and buy this big field for $465,000. And then before we get too far along the way here, I'm going to turn flight mode off. And we're going to bump our run speed back down into a somewhat reasonable setting. And I'm going to put our spawn point for new equipment purchases right here in the middle of the yard. Usually things go to my right after I purchase them. So if I start it right there, our first purchase needs to be a very large tractor to go with a very large air drill. Let me see what air drills I put on here. I did put the custom modding air drill on here. I haven't used this a whole lot. I thought that this would be a great series to kind of jump into this and give it a real serious try, since I haven't had a chance to do much of that yet. I do like my tracks, so we're going to go with the tracked version of this cart, as ridiculous as that might sound. And I'm going to put the rear hitch on here, because we may pull the fertilizer tank at some point and switch this over from seed and fert to just seed, and then do liquid fertilizer eventually. But we can always make changes to that after the fact. And then I'm gonna need this air drill. I'm not putting any numbers on these right now. I don't think I need them. I'm gonna put the lights on though. Why not? Here we go. And then before I get too carried away, we are going to just jump in here. I'm going to give myself, I don't even know. We're going to give ourselves $5 million. We'll see if a $5 million farm is going to be enough to get started here in Montana. And then let's see what we've got. I do have the Versatile installed here, but maybe we will start with the 9RX. I've got the older one, the newer one. We'll go for the newer one here. And I'm going to just go for everything big. I forget if this is Sid's 9RX. I don't actually remember, to be honest. But we're going to just go all out here. I don't think road track makes sense. And wide looks a little bit too wide. We might actually just end up with standard tracks on this thing. We'll put some front weights on. Some of these options, why not? GPS for sure. No license plate, thank you. And we'll start with this. Let's see how this works out for us. Now, I am not used to driving this big equipment, especially things like this air drill at all. So we're going to have to see how well we can do trying to get hooked up. We've got plenty of room to move things around here. Man, that wire in the middle of the yard is a little concerning. Hangs down a little low. I'd be worried about running into it with equipment in real life. I see that we've gotten a little bit twisted to the side with this air cart. I'm hoping I can get this lined up. We might have to make a second attempt here. I'm worried about running my 9RX into the side of the shed here. There we go. Oh, look at all those hoses when it hooks up too. I have to say, I don't know why I haven't found the time to do a series where I get to use this big equipment, because this thing looks amazing. And it's backing up quite well here. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and run this out into a field. I'm kind of curious how long this is going to take to actually put some seed into the ground. Now, I don't have the infrastructure for seed just yet. We are going to need to purchase some additional equipment to bring some seed around. We've got all of these different silos on the side of our shed here, though. So let me just pull over here for a second and we'll hop out and take a look. All of these silos should be usable, but they are currently empty. So I could bring seed up and store them in there. And then if I just look here, I'm looking to see if I've got anything that'll show me when I walk up to it what's in our bins. I don't seem to have anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the menu. And we'll just take a quick look here. I've got the corn dryers implemented here, and then all of our crop types are implemented here. So no special fill types. That's fine. That's fine. You know, folks, I think for today, I am interested in just getting some things running on the farm, and then we will jump in and start setting up more infrastructure for maybe doing some things a little bit more realistically. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this is going to be a little bit different series than some of my playthroughs. Normally, I try to keep things very serious. You know, we're going and buying all of the stuff legitimately and whatnot. But for this playthrough, since it is a beta map, and we're likely going to run into problems, I know, and we are very likely going to have to restart for a serious playthrough on this at some point when the map does release. I can only imagine that we're going to need a new save before this map is done, that I'm not going to get too invested right now. So we're going to fill this up with seeds, we're going to fill this up with fertilizer, and we're going to just call it good. Not be too stressed out about it. Now this is our small field. This is just a little 15-acre field. How long is it going to take for us to run this field? You know what? I want to run this one manually to start with, so let me see if I can remember how to turn GPS on. There we go. And I'm looking at this. I don't know. I think that way is going to be the best way to do our GPS tracks. Let's look at the calendar. We're in March, and I want to plant something. It's going to be either wheat, barley, canola. When's flax get planted? Not till May. Man, maybe we'll do some just wheat. Wheat is the normal thing, so I need to wait a month here before we're going to be able to do anything. That's okay. I think I've got things defaulted still for 1 day months. I probably need to change some of my new game settings. I always forget about that until I do things, but that's all right. We'll go ahead and do that now. My normal updates is to, I'm gonna leave traffic on. Come in here. We'll leave it on 1 day months for now because we're not gonna do a whole lot. I love periodic destruction or crop destruction. I don't know if we've been using periodic plowing, but I always turn field stones off. And then the big one is automatic engine braking is off. Looking good, and then all the AI garbage goes off. Maintenance costs I generally consider to be somewhat broken in this game, or specifically paint costs, so I'm going to turn those off. Then we're going to call it a save and be good to go here. I like it. I think we're good. So let me fire this back up, turn this on, and off we go. Look at this thing. It looks amazing. Whoops, whoops. We can't necessarily drive straight, but oh wait, stop. You know what we forgot, folks? Precision farming data. Precision farming. Currently no soil sample. But I want to buy soil samples. I'm clicking on the map, precision farming. Well, that's interesting. Normally, I'm able to do that. Do I own the fields, right? I do. Huh. Something has interfered with precision farming, and I'm unable to click on a field and purchase the field data. Well, since the menu's not working for whatever reason here, let me see if I can do this, oops, the old-fashioned way. PF, what is, I can't remember, uncover all. We're going to use the console command here, which should show us the precision farming map for everything on our entire map. It is 4X though, so this might take just a minute. All right, so we are back, and unfortunately, that little attempt to purchase the field maps caused the game to freeze and did not recover. However, restarting the game, now my precision farming map is working, so I don't know what was going on there. I don't even know that I would blame the map for this. This might just be one of those farm sim things where the game got a little confused. So I'm going to go ahead and buy our precision farming data, and we're going to see what we've got. You can see these have a very realistic soil maps for them, where the edges are a little bit different setup than the insides. I don't know if it's so much to represent the actual soil types versus the yield bonuses that you're going to see from them, but either way, we now have maps. So let's go ahead and get started here. We are, fortunately, not that far from where we were to start off with. So I'm going to be able to go ahead and just jump right into this. And let me see, we're wheat here. If I can turn this on, drop it down, and off we go. This is going to work out perfectly. And if I could get my act together here, my gear selector is, whoops, causing me some problems right now. I think my keyboard just stopped working. I have no keyboard, folks. Hang on. What was that all about? We'll never know, most likely. So now we've just got to try and clean up this mess. What a mess, folks. All right, we've turned ourselves around. Third time's the charm here on this field, I hope, folks. I do seem to be having some kind of a problem with my wireless keyboard, though. It keeps cutting in and out, but I've given it a swift kick a smash on the disc, and everything seems to be working again. Hopefully that continues to be the case. We'll see. If I start to careen out of control, I guess we'll find out how good the physics are off the side of some of these cliffs. It is mighty dangerous up here on top of the plateau, and I'm not looking forward to tumbling over the side of the cliff per se, but you know what? If we're going to do it, at least we're doing it in style. We've got a nice fancy looking piece of equipment here, and I'm absolutely digging this setup. Now I'm putting down the appropriate amounts of fertilizer. We've got wheat going down, which is going to give us both some grain as well as some straw that I think is going to be necessary for feeding that cattle. And my plan is to get our fields up here planted, go and buy the field down there, get some alfalfa going into the ground on the fields down below, and we're going to just try out a bunch of the different crops and get some cows as soon as we've got some grain and stuff coming in here. And that's where we may actually end up buying another one of these air drills so that we can either run multiple fields at once or run multiple pieces of equipment in once. Man, I'm looking at that huge field over there, and I know we've been kind of messing around with some technical issues here, but I'm just thinking about how long that field's going to take to plant, and that's going to be a project and a half here for sure. So maybe what we'll do, we'll put this weed in real quick on this field. I'm having fun doing it manually, getting to look at the terrain here, and then maybe we will jump down and buy that big field right down next to the animal area, and we'll put the alfalfa in next. That way at least it's growing. And then we'll switch over and probably do some flax in the really large field behind us. And if that takes a little bit longer to run, that'll probably be okay. Maybe we'll end up buying a second tractor for that. But the thinking being is once I'm done manually planting this field, I can go set this guy up as a worker down below. And while the worker's putting in some alfalfa, that'll give me a chance to buy some more equipment for the farm. We might as well pre-buy some of the stuff that we know we're going to need. But like I've already said, this is going to be a little bit of a different playthrough. And if we find that we need something, we're just going to go buy it in the moment and not worry about it too much. I keep saying that, but you guys will see. I have a hard time not playing at least somewhat realistically, and while I do just want to see the mechanics on this game, I do want to make sure we're giving it a fair shot and trying things out in at least a mostly natural progression style, so I don't want to skip out on too many things. That's why we're jumping into actually planting our crops and going through the whole process here from start to finish. I could have just used the Easy Dev tools to set up these fields with some crops ahead of time and jumped right into a harvest or something maybe, but I think this is going to be even more fun for us here. So with all that said, let me go ahead and see if we can get this field knocked off. I'm going to take 2 headland passes around, and then we'll do the rest with some up-down rows and check back in when we've got this all wrapped up. the end of our rows here. We've got just a little bit left here in the corner. And yeah, this has been a blast running this piece of equipment up and down the field. It's a not that slow. I managed to get up to 10 miles an hour while we're doing it, although the gearing on this tractor seems a little bit off. No matter what gear I put it in, I seem to be running at full RPMs. Usually, you know, you can get into a situation where you outpace whatever you're pulling, but that doesn't seem to be the case with this particular piece of equipment, so I don't know what's going on with that. But we have finished putting the wheat in on this field, and that means that we're ready to take this thing down below and hopefully start putting some alfalfa into the field down there. I am curious just to make sure that this thing is set up to do that. Rye, millet, alfalfa, there it is. So we are going to be able to do that. I'll get that all switched over, and we just need to fold this thing up and head on down there. So let's see, I've got the folding mechanism started. It's one of those super slow roll type folds, which is realistic. Something like this is going to be quite hefty. I'm driving forward a little bit so I don't catch those power lines. They look pretty low to me. And I'm a little worried that we would get hung up in the power lines if we were to stay under that. Yeah, I think that would have been close. That's all right. Well, let's take this nice long road down the side of our plateau here into the valley and see how that goes. I'm kind of curious. We used up 50% of our fertilizer on that, which is actually surprising to me. I wasn't expecting the ground to be quite that thirsty for fertilizer, but it is what it is. At least we got through it, and that was a small field on this map. Most of the fields on the map are going to be quite a bit larger than that one, so I'm curious to see how this all goes. We can just eke under these power lines. Good deal. All right, well, let's get down to the bottom of the hill here and see how this other field's going to be. Now, I will say the one bad part about well, not bad part, but bad part for me, at least from a impatience perspective, is this is a 4X map. I have to keep reminding myself of that, and it's going to take a minute to drive around and get places. So that's a consideration that we're going to have to keep in mind when we're deciding what and where to farm on the map, is travel times involved. Luckily, there's a pretty nice road network around the map. However, we've got all these hills and such, so to go from my farm over there, I have to drive all the way down the hill, all the way over here, and then come right back down this road just to get to the area that we're targeting, which I think in our case is actually across the river from us. So I'm going to need to end up taking this bridge across the river. We'll see how that goes. Given that we already ran into one object without collisions, I'm going to be quite sad if I end up in the river instead of driving across this bridge. I'm sure that won't be the case, but you never know. I'm in software development these days, and it's been crazy the kinds of things that you run into when you're setting up terrain and whatnot. You forget to put the right layer or a collider on one object, and the whole game grinds to a halt. However, it looks like No Creek's got everything under control here, and we're just going to continue zooming down this dirt road and looking for an entrance into this big field. Now, I don't see one that way, so I'm going to assume that the entrance is over here on this side somewhere, but maybe we should have got out and looked. We're going to go down to the corner here. I'm going to gamble on the fact that we're going to find the entrance somewhere down over here next to this farmyard, and if we don't, well, we'll just have to drive around until we do figure out where it's at. Now, I do like that these farmyards and, well, in this case, I guess it's technically not a farm, although we've got bin sites and silage sites and all kinds of stuff. But I do enjoy that there's a lot of room on these farms. And that's going to make our lives a little bit easier. Now, I'm not seeing that entrance I was hoping for over here, so I guess it's time that we hop into the map for a second. And did I not actually end up buying this land? It looks like I forgot to purchase this field. Well, let's resolve that real quick. And now that I've purchased it, we'll go ahead and purchase the soil information for this field. Looking good. And now I need to find the entrance. Well, I didn't see it over there. Oh, of course, it's over here, the opposite corner from where we drove our setup. That's all right. That's all right. We'll get it figured out. So let me just drop back out of flight mode here. And we will start driving over to that corner. Normally, I have to say, I kind of hate having fences on fields. Oh, we're running the tracks up onto the implement here. That's a bad day. But in Montana here, I think it actually makes sense. This is the land of cattle. You're going to see cows, or not cows, but cattle out in the fields all over the place here. And that was to be expected if you don't want your crops getting run over and eaten by roving cattle. You should probably have some fences. And I know they probably rotate some of these fields between fields and maybe pasture land at some point. So not to be unexpected to see fences around fields out here for sure. That's all right. We'll get used to it. And honestly, once you know where the entrance to something is, I probably won't make the same mistake again. And so far, at least, the fences have been spaced out wide enough to get this giant equipment through without it being a huge hassle. So I can't complain too much. Like this driveway entrance here, I can actually get out with this huge air drill and cart. There it is. Looks great. No problems whatsoever. All right, off to the corner we go. Now, one thing I'm already considering is maybe we'll knock down the fence and put an entrance in back over there so we don't have to drive quite so far. And I believe No Creek said in his document that he sent along with the map that all the farms are set up as placeables, so everything can be sold on all of the farms, which is great for wanting to clear area and do your own thing with them. I love it when the map authors do things like that. So we're going to jump in here now. I am going to use a worker on this job. Let's go ahead and do this. It's detecting the field, no problem. And I've got one tool. We're going to do 2 headland passes, start working on the headlands, and go. Looks good. We've got a nice course here. We're at the first waypoint. I'm going to go ahead and pull forward just a little bit more, and let's see how this works. I'm hoping it doesn't unload into the fence, and we'll see what happens. There we go, and it's trying to start off. Am I stuck on something? Is it thinking about where it's going? It was thinking. And it's off to the races. I'm loving it. That's going to take us an hour and 15 minutes, 16 minutes here to do, though. So I'm going to let this guy run a little bit here, I think. And we'll check back in next episode on getting the rest of the farm set up. Hopefully, we'll get all of our crops in, and we can start looking at buying some animals and seeing how these new feed system works at some point in the near future here as well. If you enjoyed this episode and you're excited about checking this map out with me, hit that like button, drop me a comment, and let me know what kind of things you'd like to see on this map, what you'd like to see me test out or show off better. And if you are interested in the map, make sure to head on over to No Creek Farms social media pages. I'm going to have them linked in the description of the video. And as always, show a little appreciation to our map makers and modders. And I believe he's going to have a Patreon link that I'm going to put in the description there for you. So you can drop him a bit of a tip or subscribe to his Patreon if you want and show some support. As always, I hope you enjoyed this. That's all for today. Kedurk out.